Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to discover later that something about their story never added up? You replayed the conversation in your head and wondered, how did I not see it? The truth is, people can control their words, their smiles, and even the image they show you, but they can't always control every reaction that happens when they feel nervous, uncomfortable, or caught off guard. And today, I'm going to show you 4 psychological techniques that can help you become better at reading people, spotting inconsistencies, and noticing when someone's behavior doesn't match their words. But before we begin, understand one thing. This won't turn you into a human lie detector, because no single gesture, facial expression, or change in someone's voice can prove they're lying. The real skill is learning to recognize patterns. Once you understand that, everyday conversations start looking completely different. So let's begin with the first secret. Stop watching only the eyes. When people want to know if someone is lying, they usually stare directly into their eyes. But there's a problem. People know that. Someone who wants to appear confident may deliberately maintain eye contact. So instead of watching only their eyes, pay attention to the entire body, especially the feet. Think about the last time you were trapped in a conversation you wanted to escape. Your mouth might have been saying, "Yeah, I'm having a great time," but your feet were already pointing toward the exit. That's because our body can sometimes reveal where our attention is going before we consciously notice it. If someone is talking to you, but their body keeps shifting toward the door, don't instantly assume they're lying. Maybe they're tired, uncomfortable, distracted, or simply ready to leave. The point isn't to accuse them. The point is to notice the change. And that brings us to secret number 2. Listen to how they say it, not just what they say. Imagine someone normally speaks quickly and confidently, but the moment you ask one unexpected question, their voice changes, they pause, repeat your question, or suddenly start giving you a complicated explanation. Does that prove they're lying? No. Nervousness can have dozens of causes, but a sudden change can tell you that the question matters to them. One pattern to watch is what we can call the verbal pothole. Someone is talking smoothly. Then you ask a specific question and suddenly they stumble or say, "Wait, what exactly did you ask?" That could mean they're nervous, confused, or simply thinking. So don't jump to conclusions. Just remember the moment. The second pattern is unnecessary detail. Ask someone a simple question like, "Where were you last night?" And suddenly they give you a 10-minute story filled with details you never asked for. Again, that doesn't prove deception, but if the story keeps changing, contradicts facts, or becomes more complicated every time they explain it, that's when you should pay closer attention. Sometimes the biggest clue isn't the lie. It's the story that refuses to stay consistent. Now let's move to secret number 3, emotional mismatch. Imagine you tell someone, "I just got amazing news," and they smile and say, "Congratulations," but something about their reaction feels strange. Maybe the smile disappears almost immediately, their tone sounds forced, or their words are positive while their overall behavior feels uncomfortable. People often call this a facial expression mismatch. But here's where you need to be careful. One strange expression doesn't mean someone is jealous, angry, or fake. Human expressions are complicated. People smile when they're nervous, look serious when they're excited, and sometimes react differently than you expect. So instead of looking for one magical lie signal, look for a mismatch between words, tone, facial expression, and the situation. When several things stop matching, you have a reason to pay closer attention. And now comes the most important technique of all. Create a baseline. Before judging someone's behavior, learn what their normal behavior looks like. If someone always avoids eye contact, that doesn't suddenly mean they're hiding something. That may simply be their personality. But if someone normally speaks confidently, answers quickly, and acts relaxed, then suddenly becomes completely different when one specific topic comes up, that change is worth noticing. Imagine you're trying to understand whether someone knows something about a missing item. Don't immediately accuse them. First, have a normal conversation. Notice how they usually talk, how quickly they answer, and how relaxed they seem. Then bring up the subject naturally. Does their tone suddenly change? Do their answers become unusually complicated? Do they become defensive? Do they suddenly avoid the topic? None of these reactions prove guilt, but they may tell you that something about the subject makes them uncomfortable. And that is the real skill. Not mind reading, not manipulation, and definitely not becoming some fictional FBI interrogator. It's learning to notice when something doesn't fit. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The people who fool us aren't always the ones who look suspicious. Sometimes they look completely normal. They smile, they joke, they tell you exactly what you want to hear, and if you only listen to their words, you may miss everything else. But once you learn to observe patterns, you become harder to fool. You start asking better questions. You stop reacting instantly. You pay attention to changes instead of isolated gestures. And most importantly, you stop confusing confidence with honesty. But don't take this too far. Don't become paranoid and start analyzing every blink, every foot movement, or every change in someone's voice. That won't make you better at reading people. It'll just make you suspicious of everyone. Instead, think like an investigator. Observe, compare, look for patterns, and then verify. Your goal isn't to find reasons to distrust everyone. Your goal is to become aware enough that you don't blindly trust appearances. So the next time someone tells you a story, don't just listen to the words. Watch the whole picture. Listen to the tone. Notice the timing. Compare their behavior with their normal behavior. Because sometimes the biggest clue isn't what someone does. It's the moment their words and behavior stop matching. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "I see the pattern" below. And remember, watch carefully, listen closely, and never confuse confidence with honesty.